Welcome back to the channel, y'all. I thought today, it's been raining most of the morning, and it's Monday. I'm off work today, and it's about 3 hours or so until sunset. And I thought I would just take a walk into the woods where I live and see what I can see. It's like I said, it's been raining, so there's a lot of water on all the leaves, and the sun is peeping out every now and again. Not a lot, just a little bit. Still kind of cloudy, but I was just thinking I couldn't go to the location I wanted to today to make a video because of the storm that came through this morning. So I thought, well, I don't want to waste an opportunity to go get out and just look around, see if I can find anything to take a picture of. Sometimes when it rains like this, the woods will just kind of glow. All the leaves will have this kind of glow to them because they're soaked in rain. So a lot of water droplets still left on the leaves. Okay. Oh. Did I mention I hate critters? I just looked down, there's this spider about the size of a quarter crawling down my arm. I can't even make a video without, walk to the woods and make a video without getting spiders on me. Welcome to springtime, I guess. Anyway, but I'm just gonna walk through the woods right here where I live and see if I can find anything. It's beautiful, birds are chirping. It's a very peaceful evening. But what I would like to focus on today, if I can find it, is more intimate shots, more close-up shots. I do not have a macro lens because I don't do this type of photography enough to justify buying one. And if I bought a Canon one, I mean, I think they're about $1,200, $1,300, depending on which one you get, an older one or newer one. But anyway, so my little f4 lens, 24 to 105, will just have to do. So I broke on the creek video, the last video I did at the creek, I broke my DJI little selfie. Now it's kind of like a selfie stick. It holds this camera that I'm filming on, and I can hold it way out from me and record myself as I'm walking. Now that broke, so I'm having to use this small little Gorilla Pod and hold it way out to record myself. So my arm is already getting tired. I've only been filming for, was it say 4.5 minutes? So, but anyway, oh, there's the sun. That will definitely help me in the woods if it comes out and stays out. Always better with some light on your subject, that's for sure. So let's cross our fingers here and hope I don't get any more spiders on me, and go take a walk through the woods and see what we can see. All right, explain to me how this happens, which I know it's nature. Nature's pretty cool. And make sure there's no spider webs. Let me get over here to it. Basically have a dead tree. It's fallen over and there is zero leaves. Zero leaves on it at all. It's a little bitty dead tree. It's fallen over. And somehow, again, I'm being careful here because I see spider webs everywhere. Somehow, this little thing has sprouted. Out from it. It's wrapped around here. I guess it started growing at some point right on the side here. It's got thorns on this tree. Sprouted out and growing straight up. Now it may look like this thing's not dead because there's a bunch of greenery around, but that's just branches from other trees that's overhanging. But I mean, you can see clearly that thing's dead. That's just cool. It just amazes me how nature always finds a way to survive. I know it may sound weird. I guess I probably didn't put that the best way, but still. You can find dead trees or trees that's been cut in half all the time if you walk the woods and see just a new life sprouting up from it. So it's kind of cool. All right, I'll press on. This is my way of making sure I do not step on a moccasin, because I have almost, doing these type of videos, I have almost stepped on one, I think 3 times. And when I say almost, I got within 2 feet of it before it took off running. So I don't trust them things. They will dang near let you step on them before they hiss and run off. I know they're not out to get humans, but can't be too careful. And as you can tell, I have top quality gear on today, which is also another reason I'm being careful about where I step. I don't have any kind of boots or anything on. Just look how pretty the forest is. Beautiful afternoon. It may have rained this morning, but it's still a beautiful day. So what I found, on the side of this tree, and I'm not quite sure what kind of tree it is. It may be a gum, but on the side of it, there's little vines growing up, and this could be poison oak or poison ivy. I'm not exactly sure. I think it's one of them poison things. Definitely don't want to touch it, but I do think it's kind of cool because I know you're over there and I'm over here, you can't see, but there's a little vine growing up, and you can see this tree right here. There's perfect contrast between the bright colors of the leaves, whether it be poison or not, and then the darkness of the tree. The bark is wet on the side of the tree because it just rained, so it makes it just that much darker. And there's some moss growing up on the north side of the tree. If y'all didn't know that, if you're ever lost in the woods, and you can find some trees with some moss on it. Moss typically grows on the north side of the tree because it gets less sunlight than all the other sides of the tree does. That's why the moss grows on it, because moss doesn't like light, apparently. So anyway, so yeah, it's pretty simple, cut and dry. I mean, it's just a contrast that kind of drew me over here to it. I was walking through the woods about 20-30 feet that way, and I noticed it. The sun keeps peeping out behind the clouds, and it just kind of lit these leaves up that are crawling up the tree, and I just think it's kind of cool. I've got it set on, let's see. I've got it set on ISO 100. It's on a tripod. I can go as low as I want on the ISO. I've got it set to f4, which is the widest aperture this lens has. And it's giving me, because it's so dark in the forest here, it's only going to give me, it's giving me 1/8 of a second, which is fine. I'm not worried about it shaking or, you know, a slow shutter speed because it's on a tripod. I'm not hand holding it, so it doesn't really matter. You can see the vine kind of grows up the side, and I'm thinking I'm going to do a square crop on this. I'm going to take it in a 3:2 aspect ratio, but I think I'm going to change it in the computer to a square crop. There's a lot of different leaves, but I'm kind of focusing on the center of it, and I'm focusing on, since I'm shooting at f4, I'm focusing on the center leaf that is going to be in my square crop, in my composition. And hopefully with that, it'll be just enough depth of field to get most of the leaves pretty sharp. So I guess we'll see when I when I get it back on the computer, and y'all will see in just a few seconds. But anyway, ISO 100 f4, that's 1/8 of a second, and I've stopped it down 2/3 of a stop just to kind of darken the exposure a little bit and make the leaves pop. Just that little added contrast. And I can do this in the computer, but I kind of like to get things as close as I can in camera instead of taking it back in the computer and messing around with it. So anyway, that's enough talk on this little simple composition. So I'm gonna take this and put a 2-second timer on, because I took that off the other day. 2-second timer, and see what that looks like. Hope y'all like it. Well, to be honest, I wasn't sure I would find this many things to shoot. Might not be for everybody, but every now and again, I quite like taking pictures of patterns and abstract patterns and colors and textures. And what I've got on this composition, you can see this tree. If anybody has any idea what this tree is, please leave a comment, let me know. I don't remember ever seeing a tree like this, but when I got in this area, I walked about maybe 100 yards from my last composition, and I noticed a tree just like this one, but it was just beside the trail I was walking on. And as I started looking around, I've seen 3 or 4 of them in this area, and I don't know what kind of tree this is. It's like the bark grows up the tree. It's wrapped around the tree, but it's certain spots the bark is missing or something. And you can see has this white kind of gray texture to it, and then the rest of the tree is covered in the typical looking bark, and it's got some moss on it too. But anyway, I thought it'd be I think it may make a kind of a cool little shot. It's a pattern shot. It's going to be kind of abstract, but I still think it would be kind of neat to photograph. Let me get it set up just real quick. Like I said, these kind of shots, they're not for everybody, but I think it's really cool. And instead of shooting this one on f4, I'm going to shoot it at 5.6 to make sure I get just a little bit more. Since the tree is rounded, I don't want my focal plane to be so shallow. I want to widen it up just a little bit to make sure the front side of this tree, where the pattern is, where the moss is that I'm going to be focusing on, is, for the most part, in focus. So it kind of reminds me of them old, any of you guys that hunt or grew up in the 90s or hunted in the 90s. I think they had an old type of camo pattern you could get and wear that looked a lot like this. And they probably still do, I don't know. But anyway, I'm going to expose this just straight up, straight in the middle. No bracketing or anything. So I've got it set to ISO 100. I've got it on 5.6. I have no idea what that ringing noise is. Not sure if y'all heard that. ISO 100, f5.6, and similar to the last composition, it's only giving me 1/8 of a second, which is fine. It's on tripod, so. The 2-second timer is already set. I'm going to just go in just a little bit here and kind of check and make sure that this is in focus as much as it can be before I take the shot. And I see a little spider crawling up the tree, per usual. Tell you what, I may have to focus stack this because there's just so many curves in the tree. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna focus stack. I'm gonna take one in the very center. I probably won't need this, but just to make sure. Take one on the outside. And then one in that little dip where the tree kind of dips down. And that just will basically ensure that the whole contour of this tree is in focus when I go to show you the picture. When I blend them all together, it'll be focused from basically from top to bottom. So one more shot. I think that's pretty cool. Didn't realize there was this many unique little patterns and subjects just behind my house, but I'm finding way more than I thought I would. So just goes to show you, just because you don't live around a national forest or something like that, that doesn't mean you can't go in your backyard and find compositions. Because if you do not know who this guy is, there's a YouTuber, his name is Simon Booth. And I have never seen anybody, he will go out on the rainiest of days, the nastiest days, the brightest blue skies, which any photographer knows you don't typically care for blue skies and no clouds. But he will go out in any condition and he will find the coolest compositions and little patterns and flowers and bugs, anything you could imagine. You would not think. Every time I watch him, I'm like, there's no way this is going to be a cool picture. But when he shows it on the screen, he's got some amazing work. So if y'all don't know, if y'all never heard of Simon Booth, go check him out. I think he's somewhere in Scotland. I think is where he's from. So, or somewhere over there in the UK. So, all right, I'm gonna stop blabbing. I'll pop this one on the screen for y'all now. I hope you like it. So I have walked a couple hundred yards from my last composition, and I'm about to prove to y'all, and you'll see why at the end of this shot. I'm about to prove to y'all, if you look hard enough, you can find compositions anywhere. I never would have thought this is where I'd be. There's a pond behind me, and that's where I intended to go look for things to shoot. There's some cool reflections, and I may go over there in just a second, but this is something I never thought I would find, especially here. And what I'm going to be photographing, can you see these? These little, whatever they are, little bushes growing up. I ain't gonna call them a bush, it's like a little tree, but I don't know what they are. They probably get bush hogged here every year and chopped down. They just keep growing back. But whatever they are, there's several of them staggered, just kind of in a row. They're all around me, but there's this one little patch that's in a row. And there is enough tall, wet grass in the foreground that if I get low enough, it kind of adds a foreground element to it. But it's like the first of many layers. So what I have is the grass. My lens is looking through. Now it won't be in focus, but you can see it in the foreground. Then the next layer are these little trees, just kind of staggered throughout, perpendicular to to the direction I'm shooting. Then you also have beneath these, a flower. And I'm not sure what it is. It's kind of a white with a little slight purple tint to it. It's these, whatever these are. And then behind that, there are yellow flowers. So you have multiple layers of different plants here. And what you won't see in my camera is the fact that the backyard of my grandma's house is just, I'm talking maybe 20 feet past these yellow flowers. There's an old broken down Toyota truck, there's a garage, there's an old swing, a burn pile, everything that you don't want in your picture. But I've gotten just high enough, I've gotten low where I want, but I've gotten just high enough to where I can angle the lens, the camera down just slightly enough to eliminate all the distracting elements in her backyard. I can eliminate that from the picture. And I think this is gonna turn out great. I really wish the sun would just pop out just a little bit behind the clouds, because it would just kind of make all the grasses and everything glow just a little bit more than it is now. But nevertheless, I've got this on ISO 100, and I've put my long lens on. As you can see, I've got a 100 to 500 lens, and I'm at 135 mil. And with this lens, at that focal length, the widest aperture I can shoot at is 4.5, and that's giving me 1/80th of a second, which is fine. I'm not worried about that. So I have manually focused. I've zoomed in and manually focused, which I rarely do, on the flower, on the white-looking flower that's just underneath these little trees like this. And you'll be able to see the yellow flowers in the background. You know, they won't be in focus. They won't be in focus, but you'll be able to see them. So I've got my timer set to 10 seconds because this lens is really long, and I have a lens collar for it to support it better, but I don't ever carry it around. It's just extra weight. It's very heavy. So I'm going to go ahead and take this now and let it count down. Take the picture. And yeah, I think it looks pretty cool. So I will spin the camera around. I'm going to show you what I'm looking at, and I'm going to also show you what's behind what I'm photographing. So here you see my camera set up. There's the trees, there's that little flower, and then behind there's yellow flowers. And you can see all the stuff in the background those things I was talking about, which I did not want to include in the picture. So I was able to angle my camera just right to exclude those. So I think it's a cool shot. So hopefully you like it. I'll show y'all now. Well, y'all, I didn't record all of it, but I have sat right here amongst this grass, these little trees, and these blackberries, and I have shot for probably an hour, just different subjects from different angles. We had, as I said earlier, we had a rain this morning, and what it did is left little tiny droplets of water on this grass. It just they kind of overhang like this. And I got a lot of cool pictures, I think, of the water droplets kind of close up. So I'm gonna put all those, whatever I took pictures of right here, I'm gonna put all those on the screen at one time. Because like I said, I didn't want to record all that. It would have taken forever. I was just jumping from one thing to the next for literally an hour. So I'm going to reach down here, try not to get bit by a snake. Get me a blackberry or two. Dang, things are good. Find some more. A few on here that are not ripe. I'm gonna eat a few of these, and then that one was sour. And then we'll get back on the trail. I may or may not photograph anything else here today because I have spent enough time and ooh, it's a big spider. Let me go over here. Oh. So funny how these things can grow wild. These blackberries. So good. Anyway, I'm gonna get my bag and stuff on, and we'll head back down the trail. And I may or may not shoot anything else. We'll see. Well, y'all just look how pretty that pond is. This is my grandmother's pond and grandfather's pond. Now, if that ain't pretty, I don't know what it is. So peaceful out here. Even though you've got a road, a highway, not far from where I am, you can still hear the cars and trucks, but it's still peaceful to be down here. So, all right, get my stuff. All right, y'all, I think I'm gonna wrap this one up. I could honestly go I could keep looking for hours and finding those little small scenes that are something that's just a little different than what I normally photograph. Nature is beautiful. It's everywhere all around you. You just got to take the time to look for it. And I hope in this video that's kind of my goal, is to prove that to myself and the viewers. You don't have to go far to find some pretty little scenes and things to photograph. So I'm going to, it's getting dark too, so I'm gonna have to head on in. But sorry, I'm just looking at all these different vines and stuff growing up these trees. Such a peaceful evening. But I hope y'all enjoyed the video. It was a different one. It was a little quicker than I normally do. I'm not gonna make this a long video, just something short and sweet. I hope y'all liked it. If you did, please give it a like, share it, comment if you got any questions, and as always, subscribe if you haven't already. Whew. See y'all on the next one. Y'all take care.